Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first leadership and health webinar. We're so happy that you decided to tune in to us this evening. And we're happy because we have a wonderful guest, some wonderful panelists here to share with you. And I'm going to take a moment to introduce them. But before I do that, let me introduce myself. My name is Latasha Hewitt. I do serve as a communication director of a religious organization, and I'm happy to be able to share this platform with these wonderful panelists. And first we have up Jaymie Pottinger. Jaymie Pottinger is the CEO of Pottinger and Associates. He's poised, energetic, and a driven educator for over 15 years. And he is also in 2016, he co-founded Pottinger and Associates Consulting, a leadership and consulting practice that specializes in leadership training and development. We welcome you, Jaymie. Just give us a wave. All right. We also have Dr. Lynnette Moore. Dr. Lynnette Moore is a board-certified family, internal, and obesity medicine. She's board certified in all of those things. She also provides virtual holistic health coaching services with an emphasis on utilizing a plant-based lifestyle as medicine to heal the body from the inside out. Amen. Give us a wave, Dr. Moore. And we also have Dr. Chinasa Amadi, who is a medical doctor, a lifestyle medicine physician, a certified weight loss coach, and nutritionist, author, and speaker, as well as a lifestyle medicine physician, which we said. So welcome, Dr. Amadi. Thank you for being here. And last but not least, we have Dr. Yvette Weir. She is a practicing dentist and coach with the John Maxwell team. She's also a graduate of Howard University and Andrews University with a postdoc in leadership. And she gets coaching. Her coaching specializes in bringing clarity and excellence to CEO dental owners on leadership, communication, and culture. So I'm sure you all can tell from this lineup, we're going to have a great conversation today. Now, I know many of you have watched several leadership webinars and even several health webinars, but how many of you have had all of that rolled up into one webinar? I'm sure it's very rare. And that's what we're doing here today. So we're going to jump right into the dialogue, and I'm going to start with Dr. Amadi. I just want to ask you, how is health really involved in being a good leader? What does health really mean to a leader? Is it really that important?
Well, I'll just use the definition of health by WHO, the World Health Organization, that define health as a complete state of total physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of sickness or infirmity. So because one is not sick doesn't mean the person is healthy. You have to be physically balanced, mentally balanced, and socially balanced, optimum, to be at optimum health. As a leader, your first act of leadership should be to thyself. You have to be able to take charge of your health. You have to be able to take charge of your physical health, take charge of your mental health, and take charge of your social health. So in leadership, it is primary that you consider your health first. You consider your health as important as even the people you're leading, because when you are already at a healthy spot, when you are in charge of your health, you're in control of your health, you're in control of your body, you're feeding your body right, you're exercising, you're sleeping right, you're doing everything optimum, then that's when you will be able to function optimally as a leader. And of course, it's like you can conquer the world once you can conquer anything with regards to your health. So as a leader, health is first, it's key. It's not negotiable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyone else want to chime in on that? Do you find that health is important in your leadership role?
I would say for myself, absolutely. I love what Dr. Amadi said, because to me, I lead by my health, regardless of what else my platform might be. Having excellent health gives me the energy, the vitality, and just the mental and physical wherewithal to do my job as a leader and as a coach.
All right. Excellent. Someone else was chiming in? Thought I heard.
I think that's so powerful. Dr. Weir, thinking about health, and what Dr. Chinasa said is that you have many people who they strive to secure wealth, and in that journey they end up losing health, And then without the health, they can't enjoy the wealth that they've just achieved. So your health is fundamental. It's primary to everything that you do. If you have a clear mind and if you're healthy in your body, then you have the energy and the tenacity to lead, because leadership is about taking people from one point to another. And if you can't lead mentally, moving your thoughts and moving your team, then it's hard for you to engage those who are looking for substance from you. So I think that you cannot think about leadership without health. I think they go hand in hand.
Okay, now you mentioned that, Jaymie, and I'm looking at the current state of this world right now. Health has kind of changed for so many people, mental health in so many ways, in terms of being, enclosed in our homes and not able to do life as we normally do it. So how do we manage this during a crisis? How do we manage being healthy as leaders during a crisis when we're trying to manage so many other things that are called upon us as leaders, particularly during this time?
I think the first thing as leaders that we must do, we must be aware and we must be present. Present meaning that we can't just depend on what we've inherited in terms of making decision. We have to accept the fact that we're in a crisis, and regardless of the crisis, we must accept that we have a team, we have people that we're serving, and people are expecting for us to perform. So we have to confront what we're dealing with. But I also think that there are 4 strategies that a leader must implement in a downturn or in a crisis. And the first one, they must be willing to explore, meaning they must be thinking from an innovative perspective, being nimble and being flexible and being broad rather than being just generally specific in finding their niche at that given time to impact their market. The next thing that must happen is that you must have a producing mindset whereby you have to think results. You have to be willing to be competitive. You have to change your tactics if necessary. And in that case, success is defined by your market penetration. How well are you penetrating your market, even though there's a crisis? And then the next thing that you have to look at as a leader is that you have to think about stability. You have to be aware of the fact that you have to create some sense of stability. And by doing that, you have to improve in levels of efficiency and enabling predictability in terms of where you're heading as a team, so that you could make decisions that will ensure that you remain in a competitive edge and you're outmaneuvering those who may be taking your market. Because if you don't do that, when the pandemic or the crisis is over, guess what will happen? You will be without a market. And then you'll be out of business. And if you're out of business, you're relegated into antiquity. And I think the next thing that I would say for a leader going through a crisis and a downturn is that you have to think about cultivating strategies. And cultivating strategies has to do with think people. You have to think to motivate people. You have to think to impact and inspire your team. You have to secure discretionary value from those who you're working with, those who you're serving, and those who are your clients. So even though you're going through a tough time, they will still remain loyal in supporting what you're doing and go the extra mile to ensure that you are still a viable option as a leader and as a trendsetter in what you're doing.
Jaymie, that you bring up some good points, and I actually want to hear from Dr. Weir about this in terms of, being a practicing dentist. How is this crisis really affecting those of you who are practicing in medicine? How do you make these adjustments?
Okay, so we have a new norm now. That's a new term that has come out, and it is really still evolving. But I know for a fact that one of the primary things that we have to consider is safety of our patients, safety of our staff. So leadership would include and would involve being very on point as far as how do we convey to our clients, to our patients, that they can still come to us because we are safe. And all the requirements either by the CDC or ADA, it is still in an evolving fashion, but I believe that your communication and what you convey as far as compassion to your patients, if they see that, they'll feel comfortable and they'll know that you're doing all you can with your leadership to make sure that the business stays viable, make sure that this is a welcoming place for our patients.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share how this crisis is impacting the way you do business as a leader and as a medical professional?
Well, I'll just say, so far, what the crisis has pretty much taught me to be more empathic, because a lot of people are, the fact, the social distancing, human beings, we're pretty much we're social animals. And having to distance us, that's you're telling everybody just be on your own, it plays a large role on our mental health. And this lockdown, this whole pandemic has taught me to be more empathic with my patients, and even with understand what people are going through, and also look at things from a different light. Why is this person reacting the way the person is reacting? Could it have been different? Could I react in a different way? Is there something, could I give out some more positivity that will influence my environment, influence my patients, influence my staff? So it has pretty much taught me to give more, I'll say, positive vibes, and spread that a lot more positivity, because in the whole darkness, a ray of positivity, a ray of hope is always essential, and it could brighten up anybody's day. So, and that plays a lot of role on our mental health.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyone else have some thoughts on that?
I think that at this point we are recognizing that so many people are in need of support. As Dr. Chinasa said, that as you interact, as you engage, you recognize that people are just hungry for social connection. And I think that we are placed in a unique position as leaders to go the extra mile, to do things differently, so that we could allow people to feel welcome. Because you have depression, you have an increase in terms of abuse, and then most of these folks are your clients. So you cannot just do business as usual. You have to add an added element to what you're doing, because in the competitive nature, if we want to secure a platform, our clients have to be treated from a holistic perspective, and it cannot just be what we have to offer that we're offering. We have to go beyond our comfort zones so that we could ensure that they feel a greater sense of security, and they could really recognize that we are a part of their community. And I've recognized that once you do that, they are more vulnerable in terms of even securing greater services from you, because they now see that you're not just about offering a service to be paid, but you are about their overall well-being.
You bring up a good point about the clients, but we also have another group of people as leaders. You usually have a team. How does the way we approach crises affect our team, or the people who work along with us? Have you guys seen how your leadership roles have helped you bring your team along during this time?
Well, I think that what happens in crisis with teams is that people tend to freeze because of the uncertainty and the fear and the new dynamics. You might have been accustomed to working in an office with 12 or 13 people. Now you have to be working in a different setting. So as leaders, we have to be resilient, and we have to practice resilience by being willing to motivate and inspire our team, to have our team feel a sense of comfort. We have to unfreeze our team by giving them that sense of comfort that even though we're going through a tough time, we are going to make it through this time. The next thing that I think as leaders that we have to recognize is that we have to place our team in a place where their skill set is aligned with the task that we are expecting of them. And we also have to teach them how to use the minimal resources that we now have to still achieve what is expected and even beyond. Because the field is now more competitive than ever, because the market is somewhat shrinking, but the need is still plenty. My question is, how do you remain relevant while that is happening? I think we could only remain relevant by empowering our team, giving them the tools that are needed, and also be an example for them by us going the extra mile. And by doing that, we will defeat the fear that comes with being in this kind of pandemic that we're now facing.
Thank you, Jaymie, for that. And we're all leaders in some regard. Some of us are leaders in our homes. Some of us are leaders professionally. But one thing that we all know that our health is very important. So I want us to kind of share some ways that we can optimize our health during this time. Dr. Moore, can you share some ways that we can prioritize our health even as we're in this crisis right now?
Yes. Thank you so much. As far as optimizing our health, there is a acronym that I like to use to keep things organized and in perspective, and it's adaptable to many situations, including this crisis. And the acronym that I like to use to optimize health and to prevent illness and reverse illness is the rainbow. I say follow the rainbow. And the R in rainbow stands for rest. We have all heard the importance of getting sleep, and that sleep deprivation has adverse effects to our overall health. The A in rainbow is activity, physical activity and mental activity. The I in rainbow is ingest. Ingesting a whole foods plant-based diet is important to optimizing our body's health. The N in rainbow is nature, making sure we're getting adequate sunlight to increase the mood, getting fresh air with being within the pandemic, and being confined to our homes. A lot of us, I know some patients are not even going outside. Some clients are not even going outside. They can at least open up the door and walk around their home or outside of their facility where they live at. The B in rainbow is believe and
Well, I think we lost you a little bit, Dr. Moore, towards the end. But Dr. Amadi, can you talk a little bit about exercise while we get Dr. Moore's mic going? Can you talk about why exercising for any of us is something that we need to incorporate into our lifestyles?
Oh, exercising is very important. I like the world. I like to make reference to the World Health Organization or to anybody. The recommendation is 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity every week for optimal health as an adult. There's a lot of different prescriptions for below 18, but as an adult, the recommendation is 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity like dancing every week, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity exercising every week. And I think you can actually do more. The thing with this whole pandemic, everybody thinks, oh, I can't go out. Yes, we can go out, but I always say you can do a lot of things even in your space. Many people are working from home right now, but even by your desk, you can throw down some squats, you can do some push-ups, you can use the staircase and go up and down. You can just jog around, you can just play music and dance with your family, have some fun. It's therapeutic. Aside from taking care of your physical health, exercising is so good for mental health, and the whole feel good hormones and everything. It's all makes you feel really good, and of course it somehow opens up your mind, and you have better clarity. You find yourself doing better work, and of course exercising also helps in improving both heart health and your overall general health. And also this period is a time when most people tend to gain unnecessary weight. We call these the lockdown weight, and it's important you don't come out of lockdown looking different, because with the weight comes a lot added comorbidity, and this is not the time to be getting hypertensive. This is not the time to be diabetic, because the CDC has said that over 94% of those that the mortality with COVID-19 in the US were all had comorbidities, and studies from the Italy too. Most of the over 90% of the mortalities had comorbidities. So this is not a time to come out from lockdown obese, with being hypertensive or being diabetic. This is the time to take charge of your health. As leaders, this is you're being a leader first to yourself. You're taking care of your health and exercising. I just said, many people, oh, I don't like to exercise. Fine, don't exercise. But many people like to dance, play music, and just dance. That is moderate intensity. 30 minutes, 5 times a week. That is all. And have fun. And of course, you can also set up with your team, with your staff. You can set up challenges, and everybody's doing it. It's a sort of creates a bond between yourself and your team. Everybody's like, okay, just send in some workout you did today, and let's see in the middle of work, and everybody, oh, you did this way. It creates a bond, and it helps everybody to stay positive in this time when the whole world is pretty much in a phase. So exercising is pretty essential.
If I may add also to Dr. Amadi, that's what drew me to her. Okay. It's somehow her her account, her page popped up in my feed, and I said to myself, wow, we seem so similar. She is fun. She has maybe 2 or 3 different kinds of messages that she puts out there, and she is always encouraging, like, just work out. And for me, I have a gym membership, but I've always said to people, you do not need a gym membership to stay fit. As a matter of fact, I really prefer the wide outdoors. And yes, we are under lockdown. And yes, I have been safely out there walking and running every single day. I need the fresh air. I need the sunlight. I need the trails. You know, I once read somewhere where they called it forest bathing, just going through the forest and allowing all those good, the good oxygen, the ions, whatever. And so I do about 45 to 60 minutes, or about 5 to 7 miles every single day. So I'm sure that Dr. Amadi and maybe both of you also would agree that when you live like that, it's a lifestyle. And as a leader, we have to lead by example. So if I come to you as a doctor and you are obese, or you don't act as if health is important to you because you don't look like health is important to you, it's one and done. It's one and done for me. And even though I'm not an MD, I come before my patients all the time from a very holistic standpoint. And I think I speak credibility when they see that I look and talk and sound like a health leader who happens to just specialize in oral health.
Absolutely. And I'd have to say, being a leader myself, I find that sometimes when I'm stuck on a decision or stuck on how I want to maybe lead a team, if I take a nice brisk walk, it's something about that clears the mind. And by the time I come back to my desk, I have some clarity about what I should do. I think we underestimate the benefits that exercising can provide us in making leadership decisions. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
I think that's so, I love that, because I look at leadership as, if you're playing soccer, you're the midfielder, meaning that you're the one passing the ball. If you're playing football, you are the quarterback, moving things around. If you're a basketball player, you're the point guard, making all the moves. And in order for you to do that, you need mental energy. And in order for you to have that mental energy and that capacity, you have to be physically well. The reason why sometimes leaders find it difficult to make tough decisions, as you said, Latasha, is because they're clogged from a health perspective. So they find it difficult to focus. And you know that when you're fit, when you're exercising, when you're involved from a healthy place, you could feel the difference when you're leading a team. You could feel the difference when you're making a decision. You could feel the difference when you're in a tight spot. You always feel as if you have that extra energy like Kobe Bryant, and you're always ready for the fourth quarter. So I think as leaders, if you want to lead well in the office, you have to lead well at the dinner table, meaning that your meals must be healthy. You have to lead well on the track, meaning that you must be, as Dr. Weir said, bathing in the forest. The first time hearing that one took my lid off when I heard that, bathing. So I'm going to be messing with that term a great deal. So I'm going to be taking a lot of showers in the forest from this point onwards. But the point is that as leaders, if we want to remain engaged, if we want to remain current, if we want to remain in a place whereby we are somebody who our team admire and our team want to be like us, just think about the image that they're looking for. They're always looking for someone who could create that gap in terms of taking them somewhere where they've never been before, or walking alongside them on that journey. And that takes energy. As a leader, you need more energy than you need for yourself, because your team is dependent on your scope and your energy. So a healthy way of life, like Dr. Chinasa, I take you on Instagram. You're bad. Dr. Chinasa, she make it happen. I'm just saying, right. She's always lit. And then Dr. Weir, she's always doing her life stuff from her walks and stuff like that. But that's what it is about. When you take on that disposition as a leader, it gives you the advantage, and it also allows your team to feel motivated to be on that journey, because people are always looking for someone to take them to a higher place.
Absolutely. Good point. Because when people see you modeling healthy behavior for yourself, if you care for yourself first, they're more likely to trust that you have their best interest at heart as well. And Dr. Moore, I want to bring you back in because, we mentioned in your intro that you promote a plant-based diet. We talked a little bit about exercise just now, but
Yes.
also our eating habits are just as important. Why, as leaders, what we eat, how does that impact what we do in our leadership roles?
Well, the saying is you are what you eat. And we've heard the saying from Hippocrates, let nutrition be your medicine and let your medicine be your nutrition. Science is just confirming the the phytochemicals, nutraceuticals that are found within our fruits, veggies, beans, whole grains, and they have a significant impact on the chemical reactions that occur within our bodies. I would also, when we look at the foods that are from the animal kingdom, there has been some detrimental effects that some studies have revealed, like increased cancer, for example.
Okay. You wanted to chime in, Dr. Weir?
Yes. I wanted to just chime in because in our spheres, we are always being watched, sometimes directly and indirectly. And I used to I wish I was close enough to show you my water bottle. That's where are my hands? Anyway, it's almost a gallon of water that I would bring to work with me. And my staff would watch to see, wow, how, like they're watching the volume go down. And before I leave, it might be, maybe 3/4 way down. And they're taking note. When they see my salad, I'm also a plant-based leader. I never really thought of myself that way, but I am plant-based and I am a leader. So I guess we can combine those two.
Absolutely.
But they watch, and I feel it encourages them to make better decisions, because I can't tell you how many staff members sometimes have complained about not being regular, because really a portion of our staff, the front, they sit a lot, and those in the back, they move a lot. And by eating healthy and by seeing how we live, it's not just what we're saying, it's what we're living. It's in our lunch boxes. It really has an impact on them, and they start to follow.
Have any of you experienced that as well? People noting what you do, your team members seeing your patterns and kind of paying attention and taking note?
Yeah, for me, my staff too, they look at my water bottle and they just, I come out with my big water bottle. I have a cup of green tea, and they're like, okay, she's arrived. Arrived, and I keep the thing with taking a lot of water. Most people are concerned, oh, they're visiting the loo so much, and I'm like, well, your kidneys are clearing up. You pick one, you can't have it. Oh,
Yes.
going to the reach time is also an exercise, because you're working, you're getting in your steps. So don't worry, you're exercising, keep drinking and keep exercising. That works fine. And that's something that I tell my staff, and they keep looking out. Most people even adopted that. They're also coming with big 1.5 liters of water, and their goal is like, oh, before the shift is over, this has to go down. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So people are watching around you, your lifestyle, and they want to see, are you consistent? Some people actually want to see, will you fail? Okay, let's see, how long will she hold this up for? Is she pretending? But when it's a lifestyle, they're just looking, okay, she's not failing. Well, maybe this is actually helping her. Well, let me try it and see. But somehow you find out that you're influencing people just by not even saying anything, by leading. You should, as leaders, we have to not just talk the talk, we have to walk the talk. We can't keep talking. Oh, do this, don't do that. Just act it, and you'll just fight people. And oh, you inspire me. And you're like, oh yeah, really? When did I talk to you? And that, it just happens.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
She's preaching now. She's preaching.
Yeah. We're saying amen. It's funny because, when you look at even politics and other entities, whenever the leader is sick, they always do their best to hide or not make it as public that the leader is sick, because there's something to be said about a healthy leader, someone who is in good health. It impacts the way the team views them. And I think that's that happy marriage. I mean, even if they can do it on those levels, they recognize that there's something subconscious about someone's health that determines how people view them and their leadership style. Why do you think, like I mentioned earlier, we hear a lot about leadership and we hear a lot about health, but we don't always hear the two subjects together. Why do you think that's the case?
That's that's an excellent question, Latasha. I'll just share an experience, a personal experience. Some of you may know that I was a health leader over the church conference, not the church conference, but the area health leader. And a couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with a precancerous lesion. And some may call it cancer, some say it's precancerous. But that really that really did a lot to me, as far as I'm like, okay, here I am, the health leader, and what do I do now? So, as Latasha mentioned, I sort of went into hibernation. I shared the diagnosis with my immediate family, and did a lot of soul searching, growing closer to the Lord. And in the end, I realized that I really needed community, and I really should have shared more. And so there was this dynamic, okay, are leaders to be perfect? But when we realize that we are human and there are other things contribute to illness, it may not be just diet or exercise. It's the whole lifestyle picture. So I certainly can understand when leaders may sort of go into hiding, but I've learned that reaching out and sharing with those around you, that you can get the support, because that support and that community is critical to the healing process, relationships.
Absolutely. I think you bring up another arm of this in terms of our emotional health, and not wanting to, even though you're physically ill, not putting off the need to be social and to rely on others during that time. That's something else. Anyone else want to speak to that, or anything else regarding this marriage of health and leadership needing to be a little bit more common than we hear now?
Well, Dr. Moore, I'd first like to say thanks for sharing, because a lot of times transparency is challenging.
That's right.
And so, thanks for sharing your story with us and with the wider viewing audience. I think one of the challenging things sometimes is when we do have a plant-based lifestyle, when we do espouse health, and then we get sick ourselves. I think sometimes we don't get as sick. I think sometimes there are genetic factors that are beyond our control. I think sometimes we bounce back quicker. But the fact of the matter is that we had any illness at all is almost maybe seen as a betrayal. And perhaps others are looking on and saying, how can you be the one, with cancer? I remember that when I was growing up, there was somebody at church who was an elder in the church, and he ended up with cirrhosis of the liver. And was that not scandalous? Like, was he drinking? That's and I think he was, but maybe way back in the past. But the fact of the matter is, it's just a matter of what is expected of us as health leaders. And to be transparent is always good, emotionally cathartic, and you're able to help someone else. So thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jaymie.
I think I would like to go back to something that Dr. Chinasa said earlier. I think in her introductory statement, when she gave what the World Health Organization has to say about health. and the overall being. So thank you, Dr. Weir, for what you shared there, and the fact that sometimes when you find yourself ill, it may be as a result of things that you've practiced in the past that has now come back to haunt you, or maybe you'd have been in a worse state based on your genetical makeup, and you being healthy has actually lengthened your days. But I think when we think about leadership and we think about mental health and we think about all those areas, everybody is in search of a stable leader. And stability is something that if you are a leader and you constantly fluctuate and there's no sense of security in how you do things, then you create a panic among your team. Not only do you create a panic among your team, you may even create a panic on the stock market based on what you say or what you do, depending on the field or the entity that you're a part of. Now, leadership, it's a lot of it has to do with your mental. It has to do with your health, your overall being. And if you neglect any one of those areas, then it will impact exactly how you serve. How you serve. What I'm saying is everything, John Maxwell says it this way, Dr. Weir, everything rises and falls with leadership. Right? So depending on where you're heading or the kind of traits that you're portraying, that's exactly what your team will feed off. And then if that's what they're feeding, then you'll have chaos on the inside. We know what happens when there's chaos. Then your level of productivity is gone and people become less and less engaged in terms of where you're heading. And then before you know it, the hold or the pull or the influence that you once had, it's gone, it's diminished, and it's diminished because you are not fit for that position or that capacity. So as a leader, in order for you to be on the ball, to be aware, you have to be healthy. There's no way that you could be razor sharp and you're not treating yourself well. For me, a living testimony, I'm just being open and transparent. I'm not a sleeper. So guess what happened? I recognize, Natasha, that when I get my sleep, I'm as sharp as ever.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times when I think that I'm doing so well, and then I got a nap and I'm like, dang, whoa. I'm smarter than what I thought. So I'm just saying that even though you may think that you're doing well, if you add the health component to what you're doing as a leader, then you could do it.
Absolutely. Good points there. And we're wrapping up the conversation. I want to make sure we're hitting all of our key points. And I really want to go back to our context right now. We can't forget that we're in a crisis, and as leaders, we're dealing with things that we've never dealt with before. So, Dr. Weir, how do we bounce back from this as leaders? How do we adjust to these new normals and the culture shifts that are going to happen as a result of being in this pandemic, as it relates to our leadership styles as well as our health and how we combine the two?
As Jaymie was saying before, everything rises and falls on leadership. And as I've been doing some reflecting on this situation, and thanks for pulling us back into the crisis that we're in, my thought is that the ones who will not only survive but thrive and make it through with as much strength and vitality as possible will be those who are able to pivot well in this situation. And by that I mean, I compare a little bit, being an athlete myself, I compare a little bit what's going on now to our offices were going along as a marathon or ultra marathon situation, as in other words, in a steady state level. And then all of a sudden there is an introduction of, a threat, a biological threat, if you want to call it that. And so what do? So our new norm is not moving along in a steady state anymore, but being able to pivot into a new direction. For us in a literal way, we will have more barriers, literally and physically, that we will have. Even we'll be handing patients masks. Our protocol is changing or has changed. So the ones who really survive and thrive through this are the ones that are able to pivot quickly. And I am on two dental groups. One of them I listen to a little bit more than the others. And sometimes there is more a feeling of, oh, what's going to happen? I'm not sure if I'm going to open up again. These are people that have not learned how to pivot and move quickly. And, it goes back to leadership. A lot of us are leaders by default, but not true leaders from within. And so that's kind of like, I think, where we all are right now on this call as coaches, ready to provide either leadership or health leadership or fitness leadership in particular. And, I think that's the reason why we're all here today too.
Absolutely. And also you brought up a good point. I wanted to kind of fill this to everyone. What are you doing now? How are you pivoting in your areas of leadership and with what you're doing in your professions? How have you seen yourself pivot during this crisis? I want to hear from some of the others on this.
So personally, like my brand, we pretty much, before this time, we have been predominantly an online based. That's where we've been pivoted, if that's the word, for a while before this time. Now everybody's going digital, pretty much have been digital. We're just finding more ways to innovate in the digital space. How could we reach out to our clients, especially now that people are not even wanting to come to the hospital, except for really, really very serious cases. So we're offering telemedicine services, different services, offering different sorts of opportunities to meet the client in their space. So we're constantly thinking out, what do we do now? We try, it doesn't work, we fling it out, we try. So there's a list of things to do, list of things like possibilities. You have to keep thinking and keep trying to innovate, because it's a new situation for everybody. So it's not like there was a book already for you to go back and read on what did they do at this time and how did they do it. So you have to keep trying to re-strategize, and when you come up with an idea, you run with it. It doesn't work, you throw it, and then you run again, and we just keep doing that. But the goal here is that we're able to meet our clients and still be able to offer our services, be of importance to our clients, and ensure that they are still, because this is a time when they need to be the healthiest the most. So we actually need to be up in their faces, hey, you have to be healthy. And yeah, we just keep finding ways to doing that.
Absolutely. Dr. Moore, you wanted to share how you're pivoting during this time?
Yes, I'd like to agree with all that my colleagues have mentioned. When this pandemic reached its, when it started back in March, where I provide medical services at, every day there seemed to be something that was changing as far as direction. What do we do as far as letting patients come into the office, or just doing telemedicine? And at the present time, we are doing telemedicine and have very minimal direct interactions with clients, with patients. And there is discussion on how do we phase in bringing them back into the office safely. And of course, wearing masks. There's the extra, sanitation going on. As far as my online presence with Instagram, I am Dr. Lynnette, MD. I've had to modify and expand my services and my reach. And I'm actually going to be doing a first seminar online next week, which I'll share more about later. But I've had to modify and adapt what I do.
Absolutely. And I think this is great because it's showing that true leaders have this vision, they're flexible, they're able to look beyond their current state. And that is a healthy way to think. So, here we see again how health and leadership go hand in hand, because healthy people don't get stuck. They know how to make the adjustments,
right,
to keep things going in the midst of a crisis. So this is awesome how we're seeing how it's interconnected more than we ever probably realized. So I know some of you mentioned some of the things that you have going on. We want to give everybody an opportunity to share how those watching can engage you beyond this webinar. So let's go around. Jaymie, you want to start and share some of the things you have going on right now?
But for Pottingers and Associates Consulting, we'll be launching a resiliency series on May the 25th for this year. This is a 90-minute free workshop on leadership in crises. If you're interested, please sign up for this series and please go to our website. That's www.pottingers, pottingerandassociates.com, or you could visit my YouTube channel, pottingerandassociate.com, Jaymie Pottinger, or you could find me on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, and let's keep connecting, because it's all about adding value to others' life by whatever means necessary, and that's our calling. So looking forward to seeing you join and tag along as we have a good time expanding our leadership and exponentially moving our growth to another level.
Great. You're everywhere. That's great. Dr. Amadi, where can we find you? What are you up to these days that we can engage you? Just unmute your mic. I know we're...
Sorry, I'm on Ariella Fitness. Ariella is ARIELLA Fitness .com, and same thing, Ariella Fitness on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and yeah, on LinkedIn, I'm Dr. Chinasa Amadi. Yeah, you could just even do a Google search and everything pops up. So just follow us everywhere, and just we're in your faces, like just right in your faces.
Great.
Oh yeah, we have ebooks. We're bringing. We're trying to meet people, help them to. We just brought out one ebook on how to control your blood pressure naturally. We're going to be bringing out different ebooks for different lifestyle diseases that you can use on your own and be able to achieve optimum health on your own on a budget. Because we know right now a lot of people are really on a very tight budget, and we're trying to cut down a lot of our services such that you will get people to have this material and please work on your own. So that is also we're doing that series, and yeah, it's all in the
awesome. That's great.
I think also, Dr. Amadi, your ebook is with Nigerian foods or something like that, using Nigerian recipes.
Yeah, we have one with Nigerian recipes. We have another one with, or it's just wherever you are. Hey, you Black, you can use it.
I love it.
Love it, love it, love it.
I know.
No, you know the thing, especially the ebook. Especially the ebook for the blood pressure, the hypertension, and we have another one coming out on diabetes. Studies have shown African Americans, Hispanics were more at risk for hypertension, were more at risk for diabetes. I don't know why. So I'm just meeting my brothers at their point of need.
Yes.
All right. We appreciate your honesty. Dr. Weir, what do you have going on that we can be engaged in?
Okay, so I can be found in two places: coaching for #4 docs, and as well as Flow Doc 21, which is a more creative and inspirational page. I do art on that page, and just a very much more, I think, inspirational over there. Also, Jaymie didn't mention it, but he and I are supposed to be doing a mastermind group starting the end of this month. Right, Jaymie?
Yes, you're right.
We are both John Maxwell team coaches, and so we would like to do that and be talking about some of the principles of personal leadership. And that will be, again, starting on the 31st, which is a Sunday. Please reach out to either of us on our Instagrams and DM so we can start to get a list going. We'd be very excited. This is going to be a 4 or 5 week session.
Awesome. That sounds great. Mm-hmm. All right, Dr. Moore, what do you like to share with us?
Okay. Well, I can be reached on Instagram at Dr. Lynnette MD, and that's Dr. Lynnette MD. And there you can find a link to the various services that I provide. And my website is drlynettemd.com, DRLYNNETTEMD.com. And starting next Monday for a couple of weeks, I will be hosting a seminar called Stay Beautiful and Alive in the Midst of a Pandemic. And you can find the link to that on Instagram and on my website.
This is great. A lot of great things going on in this panel. We love to hear about it. And so before we go, any final words from anyone? Anything you want to leave our viewing audience with before we go?
I just want to say thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again because we'll keep giving you a lot of value. So please stay tuned.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'd like to just share that hopefully throughout this pandemic and afterwards, that we have found that we have had hope, healed, and then transformed.
Amen.
I'd just like to thank you guys for joining us today. Looking forward to seeing you guys next time. Please keep safe, and please don't allow the pandemic to stop you from growing. This is an opportunity for you to grow on the inside. Isolation is one of the greatest gifts where you could tune out all the noise and all the business, and you could really focus on your truest purpose. Allow the isolation to give you an opportunity to have all the seeds of greatness within you germinate, so that when you're freed, when you're released, you're ready to take the world by storm and just be an agile leader.
Agility. I just want to piggyback on that. Agility, pivoting. Your health is your wealth. Whether you are a leader of one or a leader of many, I want to thank all my fellow coaches for coming on board. I think this has been wonderful. The synergy and the additional information that we have shared together. And of course, a big hand to our MC and hostess. You did a fantastic job.
That's easy with a crowd like this one. We appreciate everything that everyone had to share. I'm sure those who are watching will be looking you up on Instagram, Facebook, and all those other places and engaging you. That's the whole point of this. We wanted to kind of come out and share how we want to promote healthy leaders and people who care about the people that they're leading. And so we'd like to thank all of you for what you've shared today. And thanks for joining us, our viewing audience. We'll see you next time. Hopefully we'll be back with a part 2, part 3. So stay tuned for more.